PV Vijaykumar now here with us to talk about not just the order book but also to get a sense of what's really happening on ground. Good morning, Mr. Vijaykumar. If you look at what has been announced so far, the road orders have been sluggish. But what we've seen are strong announcements primarily around PLI schemes. A lot is being said about national infrastructure pipeline, with the Prime Minister's office also stepping in to expedite contracts and remove all kind of delays. Can you first tell us on ground what exactly is happening? Public capex we know has been going up, then monsoons are coming. Private sector capex, are they also turning around, or they're just at the mere announcement stage right now?
Yeah, see, the capex is is set to grow up in the coming years. The national infrastructure pipeline has truly embarked on the target perspective of the nation. We are an infrastructure deficit country, and we are a growing economy. You see, we are talking about right now at this stage, we are talking about 19-20% of growth rate in nominal GDP, which is a quite high figure if you talk about it. And if you see generally also, the gross fixed capital formation, which is an indicator of how the investments growth is going to, capex growth is going to happen in the industry. It is also quite well grown up over a period of last year. It is something like 15 to 16%. And the private consumption is actually, it has slightly come, it is slightly below this, whereas it is something around 7 to 8%. So it is very clear that going forward, the economy is going to be driven by the capex programs, and national infrastructure pipeline is well set to capture this. You see, there are certain schemes like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana itself is nearly 50,000 crores. And highways is like 1.3, 1.4 lakh crores. So Jal Jeevan Mission is again 60,000 crores. This is a kind of budget estimates what we have. And even state governments also, if you see relatively, they have relatively the portion of revenue expenditure is going down, is going up, and then the ability to put in capex is coming down. And considering this, central government has allocated more budget to them in terms of providing capex support. So what is very important at this stage is an infra company should have a proper business mix to capture these opportunities. As far as NCC is concerned, our forte lies in buildings and water and all that. So the business mix is very important here, where you have less of land acquisition problems, where you have less of approval problems, because these infrastructure projects are generally long gestation projects, and they spread over a wide geography. So the business mix will play very role to capture these opportunities.
That's how you're going to be seizing the opportunities from state, center, as well as the private sector. Till today at least, we've been talking a lot about crude oil on the boil. It's now below $90. In fact, inflation is also trending lower and is there across commodities. So since the war between Ukraine and Russia, you've all had to deal with a lot of overrun in costs. Going forward now, there could be de-escalation. How is that going to impact order book? How is that going to impact contracts as well? Because, when there are these kind of fluctuations, it does lead to some kind of delays.
Yes, you're absolutely right. In fact, the global uncertainties have really affected the infrastructure, project costs and all that. You see, I'll just give you an example to have a feel of it. In the recent Government India's report, out of the 1,600 projects, nearly 25% of the projects are suffering cost overruns. So that is essentially because there are time overruns. Generally, the time overruns result in cost overrun because you have escalating input costs, and then you have IDCs escalating and all that. So this is mainly, again, we talk about delays. This is mainly on account of, still we talk about force majeure or near force majeure reasons such as land acquisition, approvals and all that. So I'd like to share off the corridor talk also with you. You see, there are certain projects which have stepped back, looking to the surge in the commodity prices, especially during March to May. They have slightly postponed their procurement plans also, and then certain projects got delayed also. So what happens is typically why this sort of phenomena is led, because wherever there is a aggressive bidding, a lot of competition is happening, and you are lenient on price variation clauses. So that's where these projects are set to suffer. And when it comes to the banking sector, they are not going to take it well in terms of postponing the commercial operation dates, or funding the extra budget and all that. So it is very important here. You have to choose. If you compromise on the long-term perspective for the short-term benefits, then this is a very careful thing. It needs to be watched. If you are going to compromise on long-term perspective, then definitely you are going to set to have a problem. As far as NCC is concerned, we have quite well positioned here. Most of our contracts have got price variation clauses, and wherever there is a fixed contracts, things are there. We adequately build in cushion to combat against these uncertainties. So this is what it is.
Fair enough. What about the debt on your books? Close to 800 crores, if I'm not mistaken. What are your debt reduction plans? And given the rate upcycle, do you think that it will impact your cost of execution?
See, our debt levels have substantially come down by 250 crores compared to Q1 last year. So our focus is continue to lessen the debt on our books. But most of this debt is in terms of working capital, where we have nominal term debt, and we have asset-light model business. So we are largely immune from these cost overruns and all that. And our major business is in terms of EPC business. So I think we're largely immune from any of these possibilities of cost overrun or type of.
All right. Now, given that, we have seen the monsoon impact urban infrastructure in a lot of parts of the country, what do you think really needs to be done in order to help upgrade the infrastructure situation currently?
You see, the continued monsoon has really affected the execution capacity. Especially, if I give you an example, the roads were severely hit. The execution has come down by 20%, and now you see the run rate from 29, it has to go to 22. I think it is around 29 kilometers per day. It has to shoot up to like 32, 33 kilometers, whereas Marth has set a target of 50 kilometers, which is ambitious. So this slowdown in construction is going to affect in the last couple of months. There are tail end effects of COVID which have affected the projects, and by the time we recover from tail end effects of the COVID, now we got into the problem of prolonged monsoon season. So, however, I feel that these effects are temporary. And as I briefed you in the beginning of my interaction with you, the core strength of economy is intact. You have the capital formation. Capital formation is imperative. If you want to grow at $5 trillion economy, and whereas the retail consumption is going down, and your fixed capital formation is very important. So in which case, I think these things will have a temporary setbacks. But however, I hope that they will truly pick up.
All right. Thank you for walking us through the outlook on the sector as well as for the company as a whole. That's the view coming in from the management of NCC.